Hello, and welcome to Astrology Breakdown with my psychic connection. I am Squirrel, and I am going to be here with Energy, the metaphysical crone, tonight. And we are going to be all talking about astrology all night. Oh, there she is. Hi, Energy. Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm so excited.
Okay.
I'm so
Now
excited and speechless.
we've got a little bit of a special holiday episode for you tonight, and we're going to start out with the transits tonight, and we're going to talk about the transits for Christmas Day, what's going to be going on in the sky and the energy. And energy, it's really hard to say those two right after energy, 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 energy. I got it. Um, energy has a really cool surprise for us tonight that she's going to bring to us right after I give you the transits, okay?
Yeah.
So, all right, so we start off with a Sagittarius stellium, which means the energy in the air is like wide open, okay? And what a stellium is three or more planets in one sign. So we've got the sun, the moon, and Mars all in Sagittarius, which is holy crows. That's a lot of Sagittarius energy that really hits us where we live. And we've got that new moon in Sagittarius right now, which I'm going to let energy tell you about in just a second. So we've got all three of those in Sagittarius, and we've got Mercury in Capricorn. Now, that's going to keep us a little bit solid, a little bit paying attention to the details and attention to what needs to be done. But then all that Sagittarius energy is going to be like, let's play, let's play. What are you thinking about? Let's think about this instead. It can be a little bit much. And then at 2:08 a.m. in just about, wait, 11, 12, 1, 2. Okay, I have to count on my fingers to get 3 hours. But in 3 hours, Mercury goes retrograde. So uh, all hell will break loose then. Our focus is going to be a little bit wonky. So communications between other people, communications on the phone, communications with the internet, and as Journey pointed out a little bit earlier, just a few minutes ago, he said it also affects our communication from our brain to our body. So if your brain does not connect to your mouth, welcome to my world. Okay. So we've got that going on. Then we've got Venus in Scorpio, which is very, very sexy. That is a beautiful placement for Venus, and it is very focused. We are all in the mood for love, and we want it one on one. When we are with a person, we are focused completely on them, and their focus should be completely on us unless they've got too much Sagittarius or Gemini energy, right? And then we have Saturn in Pisces, and we've got Jupiter in Taurus. And our beautiful little Capricorn Mercury is not only trined to Jupiter, which is a beautiful flow of energy back and forth, that will help offset that Mercury retrograde a great deal because we're going to have that Jupiter grounding us. Jupiter's not usually grounding, but being in Taurus, it's going to help grounding us. But Mercury is also sextiled to Venus in Scorpio. So that's going to give us those two aspects are going to give us a little more grounding than what we would usually have with the Mercury retrograde. So that is all the aspects going on right now. And I am going to let energy tell you all about that beautiful new moon in Sagittarius.
Don't you love what's going on in the sky? I know I do. And of course, we've got this new moon in Sagittarius at the moment. And new moons are about starting new projects, it's about new beginnings. It's the start of something. So, this is a great energy if you have a new project or you have something new that you want to bring into your life. Now, the fact that this new moon is in Sagittarius, this is about going through our beliefs, our philosophical outlook on things, that deeper understanding. But then there's the fun side of the new moon in Sagittarius. It says, oh, I want to try this. Oh, I want to try that. Oh, let's go and try this. It's almost like a huge fireworks display happening all at once with this new moon in Sagittarius. But the downside is you've got to be a little bit careful about not getting too scattered, because remember, the moon is our instinctual reaction to something. It's about our emotions around something. It's about our subconscious reactions as well. So there may be a tendency, particularly if you have a Sagittarius rising, a sun Sagittarius, or if you actually do have your moon in Sagittarius, you can find yourself getting a little bit too scattered. So thank goodness for some of that Capricorn energy that that Squirrel was talking about to help ground us. Now, with this energy, it's about moving forward. It's about moving forward and expanding. It's all about expansion. And then with that Jupiter energy, which is a bit grounding at the moment, that is going to marry up very well. Now, with new moons, I know the moon doesn't stay in a sign for very long, like 2.5 days, but the energy either side of the new moon goes for about 2 to 3 days before, 2 to 3 days after. It's not like, oh, we're in the new moon, here's the energy, and bang, it's gone. There is a transition phase. So if you're a person who wants to start planning, start working on a new project, now is the time to start writing it down. Now is the time to visualize it. Now is the time to see that vision, that big picture vision that Sagittarian energy can bring, to see it in your mind so that you can then start manifesting it. I love moons. How about you, Squirrel?
I do. Oh, yeah, I do. We'll be having in the new year a new short too on the moon. So we'll be knowing
Ooh,
what phase they're in, what sign they're in, all kinds of cool stuff coming up in the new year. I'm excited.
how
So
exciting.
before we go into the transits for Christmas Day, how about you tell everybody your surprise foods?
Okay, here we go. This is I'm not the elf on the shelf now. I'm being astro energy. And what we're going to do is, when we think of Christmas, now we see all the wonderful Christmas movies, don't we? I love watching old Christmas movies, you know, What a Wonderful Life and all this sort of thing. But they kind of put this fairy tale fantasy outlook about Christmas. And Christmas at times can be very stressful. The lead up to Christmas can be stressful. The actual time can be stressful, particularly if there's some things going on with family dynamics. So it's not
Mm,
always like the picture perfect thing that we see in the movies. So what I thought I would do is I did a bit of research, and I thought it'd be great to look at some stress management hints and tips for each of the sun signs, each of the zodiac signs. So we're going
I
to
love
sprinkle
that.
those through the show tonight. So would you like me to start with one?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. All right, so I'm going to start with Aries. We'll start at the beginning of the zodiac. So this applies to you if your sun is in Aries, your moon is in Aries, you have an Aries rising sign, or you have Mars in Aries. So for you, Aries generally do work well under pressure. Just think of that fireman rushing into the burning building to save the baby. You know, they're courageous. They get in, they get it done, and they react. But the problem with Aries is they've got so much energy, but it kind of drops off quite quickly. You think about a rocket ship going to the moon. Once the rocket ship is launched, the fire is gone, and then it's gravity that takes it forward. So with Aries, you can overwork around this time of year. You can try to do too much around this time of year. And so you can get stressed. You won't admit it to yourself, and you certainly won't admit it to anybody else, but the signs are there. When an Aries gets irritable for no seeming reason, when they become a bit cranky, you know, a little bit abrupt, then that's a sign that they're in stress. So Aries, if you have that Aries energy, what can you do? Do something physical, because your impatience can come out. So do something physical to work off that energy. Go to the gym, go and, you know, punch a punching bag, go for a hike, do some really high energy exercise or movement that can work that energy out through your body, work it out so that you can then come back to that beautiful, courageous Aries that is always there, ready to act and do their best. So a little bit about some stress tips for Aries. There you
I
go.
love that. That is fantastic. And Aries really does generally handle that stress so well. They're the ones that they kind of thrive on stress. It makes them try harder. It makes them do better. But when there are so many people involved, or in many cases when there's no one involved and that lonely stress comes in, it can take a turn for the worse, and that impatience will show through. And for I love the advice you gave for what they can do for the stress. That was fantastic.
And it's
Yeah,
also
thank
something they'll
you.
love to do as well because they love to challenge themselves.
Now, if we have like I know some Aries that have physical challenges. So it doesn't have to be something that they have to go full force into like a
No.
run or a hike or a jog or even to the gym. Now, I know that you do chair yoga, or there's the Tai Chi. I couldn't remember the name for it. Um, there are things that you could do more slowly or that you could modify if you can't be as physical as you want to be. It's still possible for that Aries to do some physical activity. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there is chair tai chi as well, and it can be a good counterbalance. But it's what's happening is, I mean, Aries are like volcanoes. You know, when they can't get that energy out, they will erupt, and it's trying to prevent that eruption happening over Christmas that could create a bit of a drama that is unnecessary. When all it is an energy reaction, and so I feel that doing something that fits your body, fits your mindset as an Aries, can be really helpful. But I really like the point you made also, Squirrel, about doing the opposite sometimes can also give that calming effect. I loved that. That was awesome.
Mm. Yeah. We've got any questions about that particular point? That was beautiful. I love these. And I thank you so much for taking the time to do the research and to sit down and make this for us, because this is outstanding information. I love it.
And Christmas can be such a stressful time. And, I'm the eternal optimist being a Sagittarian myself. So, I want it to be positive for people. And if we can have hints and tips that make that possible, then we're doing our job.
Amanda says, I need a good reading done on my chart sometime. Well, you know where to come, sweetheart. You can go to my www.mypsychicconnection.com and make an appointment with one of us. And Emma says, I have a lot of Sagittarius in my birth chart. That is such a great energy to have. And Amanda says, so cool. My moon is Sagittarius. Okay, Amanda, what I need to know. So Energy and I were talking earlier, and she is, of course, a Sagittarius, and she was telling me that she got like 6 hours of sleep because that new moon, even the new moon, is like got her wired. Wah! Is it affecting you like that, Amanda? I need to
Yeah,
know.
that would be interesting to know, Amanda, if it's affected you the same way as it has me. Because I was like bright eyed at 2 o'clock this morning going, okay, what will I do now?
And Emma says, how is Saturn in Pisces going to influence a Pisces rising this Christmas? That's a really, really good question. Saturn in Pisces is a tough placement. Saturn is all about um, rules, limitations, things that restrict us. You think about the rings around Saturn, they kind of restrictive, like holding things in. And Pisces is the dreamer. Pisces is wide open. It doesn't want to be restricted. It has a hard time being restricted. And Saturn being in Pisces kind of makes you go back and forth between your responsibilities and what you want to do. So, with that being on Christmas, just keep in mind, Emma, that you will have, she says, I'm a Pisces rising. So yes, I'm feeling it. Oh, I bet you are. And then with all the Sagittarius, Sagittarius is wide open too. It doesn't like being restricted. So you've got a lot of restrictions. You're seeing your responsibilities and you're feeling your limitations. Um, respond or acknowledge the limitations that are true, because we all have true limitations, like whether they're physical or I mean, we're talking about a limitation could be something as simple as not having a car to drive, to something as a physical disability that keeps you from doing something. You want to honor those restrictions that we have, or those limitations, but take time to find out what limitations you've imposed on yourself that aren't true. If you've been telling yourself, I'm not smart enough to do this, or I'm not pretty enough to do this, or I'm not good enough, really look at it and see, am I telling myself a lie? Are these self imposed? Because that's one of the things that Saturn and Pisces can really help us understand. What are our real restrictions? And what limitations have we put on ourselves that have nothing to do with reality? So, this whole season, Emma, would be a really good time for you to visit that. I'll bring energy back, see if she has anything to say on that.
That is so awesome. And it is, there's such a push pull because with that beautiful Pisces imagination and going with the flow, because it is mutable water, that Pisces energy. And then Saturn, which is the ruler of Capricorn, is that here's the box that we have to sit in. But you know what? I always try and put a positive spin on things. What you can also do is say, what are these restrictions that allow me to set up a way of being that is organized? I have something that was told to me many years ago, and I have tried to live by it. Self freedom comes from self discipline. And so, how you can positively use this push pull between what you're emotionally drawn to doing and your imagination calls you, and what that energy of Saturn is pulling you back in, it's almost like saying if you can harness both of those energies, get the tough stuff done, get the responsibilities done that you need to do, that is then going to free you up to explore and come back to that beautiful, high imagination, empathetic person that you are. So I hope you found that helpful.
And that makes me think so many people really despise Saturn. Like, we hate the restrictions and the responsibilities, the limitations, all the stuff that is connected to Saturn. But without Saturn energy, nothing would get done except for by Virgos and Capricorns and Taurus. They're the only ones who would get anything done.
So true, so true.
What could ascendant being in Libra retrograde mean? Ascendants can't be retrograde, Amanda. I'd have to see that chart. Yeah, ascendants
Mm.
can't be retrograde. Ascendants are by house. And she says, would love appointment for chart reading soon. Get money to spare. I will. Yeah, we'd love, love, love to
Mm.
do that. But whoever told you your ascendant is retrograde was learning or didn't know or read a book. Ascendants are by houses. And she says, okay. Yeah. And houses don't retrograde. Planets do, and the ascendant is not a planet. It's the line that starts your chart that is the easternmost point of when you were born. That is east.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Emma
It's that's
says,
the time it's the time you were
that's the
born
time you were born.
that sets off where all the other placements will be in the chart, but it actually doesn't move, so it can't go retrograde, from my understanding.
Yeah. And Emma says basically emotional mind and logical mind put together. Yes.
Nice,
She's
nice,
listening.
nice. It's a hard act, but it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
So speaks a Capricorn rising with Saturn in Sagittarius and Sun in Sagittarius. It's a hard act,
Ooh,
but it's
Saturn
worth it.
Sagittarius.
But it's
Ooh.
worth it. Well and truly worth it.
When we're younger, our charts are not the worst of us comes out in our charts, I think. And we haven't figured out how to live with the parts of ourselves that are so incredibly contradictory is the best word I can think of it. we have contradictory things within ourselves that we're all like, why do I act like this and then I act like that? As we grow older, we figure it out, but it's a lot easier to figure it out when you know your chart. And Emma says, I
Absolutely.
have Venus in my second house and it's in Taurus. Ooh, so jealous. That's such a good placement. And it's also my DK planet. What does that mean for me? I don't know what a DK planet is.
No.
That must be something pop astrology. But Sag rising journey,
Yay,
yeah.
journey.
That's a
Yay,
good
journey.
placement too. Yeah, you can tell, Journey. Hold on a second, I got it. Hold on a second. I just had something happen that just cracked me up. I apologize.
Things are happening in the skies and the ether.
That wasn't a ghost, y'all, if anybody saw that. So Emma says spouse indicator planet. I've never heard of that. I do traditional astrology. I don't there is such a thing as pop astrology and there's all kinds of new stuff that people bring in. I and Journey says, "You know I had to come in with it. LOL."
We love our Sag
Well,
rising.
we do. We do. And you can tell with him his yes,
Yeah,
absolutely, and it's beautiful healthy Sag.
it is. It
So
is.
tell
And
us
I'm
about
with
Taurus.
I'm with you, Squirrel. I don't I follow I'm classically trained the way you were. And so yes, there's a lot of new stuff coming in, but I think sometimes if we try and delve into all the different types of astrology that are out there and we try and bring all the new things in, it can sometimes dilute the core foundational parts of what our chart is. I think understanding the core foundational part of your natal chart is a good place to start. And that's why getting your chart done is so important, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much new stuff out there, and there are also so many different kinds of astrology that if you don't stick to one, you will get so confused and lost, and a chart would never make sense because there's a whole bunch of stuff like asteroids. Like, really, there's billions of asteroids, literally billions of them. If we got to put one in there, we're going to have to put all of them in there, and the chart would be unreadable. And Emma says, it's all good. LOL. I didn't know pop astrology was a thing. LOL. It is. I think what happens, honey, is that there are astrologers out there that don't think that they're like, this is old. So we have to make it exciting. It's exciting all by itself. And they make stuff up or they add stuff. So whenever you hear something that doesn't have anything to do with a classical astrology, if you're learning astrology, always look at it with a grain of salt and see what kind of research was done on it. Like, I know we can see mothers and fathers, parental and growing up, and factors that stay in our lives, but certain things are just they don't make any sense when you put it all together. I was like, there's a lot of pop astrology that I have a bone to pick with, but I won't pick it here. And Emma says, "Understandable for sure. You're very wise. Thank you for enlightening me." You're welcome,
Oh,
hon. You're welcome. And Amanda says, "Think I have Venus in the first house. Ooh, and Scorpio in the second. Oh,
well,
okay.
that's interesting.
That is interesting."
Yeah, well, Venus in the first house, it's about it can be about appearances. It can be about physical appearances. Venus in the first house, but also Venus in the first house. Venus is about love, romance, but it's about art. Venus is also associated with money because it rules the second house, which is about money and possessions. And the other thing I'll say about Venus in the first house is that that first house with your rising sign is how you present yourself to the world, how people first notice you. So you would come across as quite an open, friendly soul at first meeting, regardless of what else is going on in your chart. You might have a deep Scorpio in there, that Scorpio in the second house. When it comes to your physical possessions, when it comes to your money, you're very private. You keep that close to your chest. But generally, you're kind of friendly and like meeting people. That's how I perceive it. What do you think, Squirrel?
I absolutely agree with that. But I'd also like to say with that Venus in your first house, one of your things that you might want to work on would be loving yourself because the first house is about who you are and the self. So you want to, if you are in a place in your life where you don't like things about yourself, learn to love those things about yourself and to accept them because that's going to be one of your biggest lessons in your life.
I
Hope
love
that
that.
helps.
I love that. Self acceptance. We could all learn to understand that. Oh, what's Jenny saying now? Jenny says, I think I got drunk in the first house and sleep at the second house.
That's
Astrology. Oh,
okay,
Lordy.
that was really funny, Journey.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Emma says my Jupiter return is also in 2024 in Gemini in my fourth house as well. So I have a nerve 2024 will be interesting for me too. My sun is also in Gemini at 17 degrees. My Jupiter return is coming up. Wait a minute. Jupiter's in Pisces. No, Gemma, your Jupiter return will not be in 2024. I don't believe.
Yeah,
I'd have to see when. I'd have to really look at a chart because it's in Pisces. Wait, Jupiter is in Taurus. Nope, you're right. I'm thinking Saturn is in Pisces
in
right now. You're
Pisces.
you're
Yeah,
right. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Jupiter is in Taurus, so it will be. Jupiter return is really good. I'm so stuck on Saturn still. Derp. So, she's
Me too.
but Jupiter return, expect a really, really good year. A really good year. But I got my Saturn return coming this year, so I'll trade you. And Amanda said, "Did he wake up in the third? If he did, we got to figure out how drunk he was."
And if he did
And
wake up
Julie
in the third, he wasn't at home.
Julie says, "That's a hard one. I'm a Pisces." Yeah, that Saturn in Pisces is really
Mm,
tough on Pisces moon, Pisces rising, Pisces sun, and I would venture to say Pisces Mercury too. That is a really hard placement. And Journey said, "Who said I woke up? LOL." And Amanda says, "Is if this chart I have right show three in the first house, three planets?"
so stellium.
Yeah. So who but I'm still stuck on that that ascendant. The sun never goes retrograde, the moon never retrogrades, and the ascendant never retrogrades.
Yeah,
Those are the three that the sun and the moon are what's called luminaries. They're not actually planets, and the ascendant is just a point in time. And Emma
yeah.
says, "Yes, I'm really looking forward to 2024 because of my Jupiter return. I'm already working on my manifestation board along with writing my desires into existence." Go, Emma, go.
Oh, that is
It's like,
awesome. That
I
is
read
awesome.
Jupiter, but my brain said Saturn. See, Mercury's
Yeah.
already messing with me. I almost said bad word. Um,
It is. Mercury is doing its job early. It really is. Well,
it
with
is.
that Saturn in Pisces, how about we do some stress tips for people who are Sun Pisces, they have their moon in Pisces, they have Pisces ascendant. So, with this beautiful energy that you have, Pisces energy is mutable water. So, it's all about the emotion, it's about empathy, it's about no boundaries. That's why Saturn is so difficult for you. But what can happen is when you get stressed, you can't think clearly, you can't do anything, and you have a tendency to kind of escape into your imagination a little bit. So, when you're feeling stressed, you can take on too much of other people's feelings as well. And it's hard for you to differentiate what are yours and what are other people's. So, how can you de stress? Quiet time for you, time away from people, time away from those incoming energies that are affecting you. So, an awesome thing for you to do is to meditate. Now, I'm not talking about sitting in the lotus position like like a pretzel and, chanting, but it's about sitting quietly, about quietening down your emotions, coming into your heart space and quietening your heart space, and just not having that external input that can just throw you out of kilter completely. Having quiet time without any external stimulation is a great way to be. So getting out in nature, going to a quiet spot near a beach if you can, even a quiet corner of your garden, somewhere where you can get away from the noise that's around you. So I hope you found that one to be helpful for all of the beautiful Pisces energy that we have with us.
I love those. I'm hoping we can get to several of them.
Mm,
Because, yeah, this hour's already going pretty fast, and we've
it
got
goes so
so much
fast.
information to share with you. It's like
Yeah.
Amanda says, yes, have Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And you said that was in your third house?
Third house?
I think you said.
Mm.
Um, now, if this chart is right, I show 3 in the first house. Okay, okay. Yeah. We would have to look at that. We don't want to give you too much information right now, not knowing whether the chart is accurate or not. That would make a huge difference, and it would just confuse you if we tell you too much right now without seeing the chart
Yeah.
that we plot out, because
And
it
the
can make a
impact
huge
of the
difference,
aspects and relationships of the other planets in the chart as well can either have a huge impact or a little impact. So,
right?
looking at the chart is the best way to go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then planets, she said, "Yeah, I used an app." Okay, yeah, some of those apps are questionable, to say the
Some,
least. But,
some are better than others.
some are really good. I
Mm,
use an app, but
yeah.
I trust my app. But, like Energy and I, we acknowledge Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, but we don't generally add those to a natal chart information because they take so long. Like Uranus, I believe, takes 12 years to go
Mm.
around the entire zodiac chart, or even to which is it? To go around or to go through one
To
sign, you
go
said?
through, I think it's to go through one sign. I know Pluto is like 248 years. So these outer planets are generational planets. They affect a
Very.
whole generation. So it's more like a big picture, global level rather than just what's happening to you personally in your life.
Yeah.
That's why I don't use them that much either.
The only time I use them is when they have a hard aspect. And Julie E says, "Thank you, sounds right for me. I have BPD, so I find it hard to let go. I say things without
Mm.
thinking." I that's part of that Pisces ascendant as well, because that can that can remove the filter. And if there are other filterless planets and signs in your chart, then that's going to happen. There are some signs in particular that if there are not earth signs holding them down or holding them back, they blurt out everything. And never use that as an excuse to be mean, of course, because sometimes, man, if stuff comes out of our brain that or out of our mouth that our brain is thinking, it could be pretty bad. But know that that is a part of who you are, and that we are all made the way we are to be to make the impact on the world that we need to make. And when we find out how to do that in a healthy way, because all nothing, no sign is all good, no sign is all bad, no planet either. But when we learn to channel it in healthy ways to be our best selves that we were designed to be, we can make a huge impact on the world and make it a much better place. And sometimes that filterlessness makes things better, believe it or not. It can be a good thing. It can be a very important thing.
It's all in a spectrum, isn't it? It's all in a spectrum. Sometimes speaking out without filtering can get you into hot water. Other times, speaking out without filtering, you could be saying the wisest words you've ever said. So, I agree so much with squirrel. It's not good or bad. It's just a spectrum of different ways of being and different ways of expressing. Like Mars, Mars is known as the warrior planet. It's the go out and do it and make it happen and fight planet and all of that. But the sign that the planet sits in can modify that. So Mars in Cancer might soften that a little bit. So you might
Mm.
still be the warrior, but you will do it in a different way than if your Mars is, say, in its home sign of Aries, which is all out, go out and get them kind of energy. But there's always good and bad in both. And I don't even like using the words good and bad. I'm still trying to come up with the perfect words to describe that spectrum.
That a lot of astrology, like even the most basic cycle is either positive and negative or feminine and masculine. And it's the I prefer feminine and masculine because it's kind of like a plug for, you know, plugging in an appliance. Feminine is the pronged and or no, masculine is the pronged. It's the one that goes in and gets it, and feminine is the socket that receives it. So it's not about male or female. It's not about good or bad. It's about how that energy flows. And I'm sorry I missed that. And Journey said, "Nothing soft about this Cancer." Wait, my mom went to the gutter, Journey.
I'm
Talk
not
about no
saying a
filter,
word. No
right?
comment. No comment.
He says, "I
And don't you
knew it."
think
Cancer,
oh,
Cancer Mars can be gentle. I'll get right to you, Amanda. I just want to, Cancer Mars can be gentle in particular instances. But when it is needed, Cancer Mars, think of mother bears. That Cancer Mars gets stuff done. And a lot of times it is emotionally fueled or emotionally sparked. But when emotion is behind aggression or wanting something, going to get for something, it can get pretty strong. So Cancer is the best protector there is, and it will usually get emotionally charged in doing so for somebody else as opposed for themselves. So just don't be the one that pissed the Cancer off by hurting someone they loved, or you will regret it.
and that's the key thing about Cancer. It's that protection of family and loved ones and home. That's when they get aggro. That's when they turn into the crab and they latch on and they will not let go. But if
Oh
it's
yeah.
about them, they can be a little bit more defensive, I feel. Cancer being a receptive energy. We talked about, Squirrel talked about the masculine and the feminine. Well, the Cancer sign is a feminine sign. The Mars planet is more a masculine, fiery planet. So there is reception and there is action all combined into one with that, I feel.
Oh, and two, remember cardinal water.
Yeah.
Cardinal is the key word there where it's boom, it happens quick. It's the birthing of something. So cardinal water can be akin to a tidal wave or a tsunami. Yeah. That Julie says, "I'm so white and black. I don't know how oversensitive I am. I beat me up too." Pisces energy does that. Pisces energy is incredibly sensitive, and having that Pisces ascendant, um, that means that's part of your first house. That Pisces rules that first house. What's about you? That first house is all about me. Who am I? I am. So one thing you can do with that is start to look at the beauty you have, and remember that not everybody is attacking you because Pisces can swing to paranoid when they're not feeling good. So always stop yourself and say, did they mean that like that? Or did I mean like that? Pisces is a beautiful energy that people need to be around. So try to remember that, Julie. Okay?
Absolutely. Such a beautiful we talked about soft energy, that Cancer can be soft energy, but Pisces to me is like this soft, ethereal, beautiful energy that you just flow into. You know, there's no holding back when it comes to that beautiful Pisces energy. And, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, I'm a Pisces, therefore I'm flaky. No, 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 no. You have this beautiful go with the flow kind of energy, but you need to do it at your pace, not try and be forced into everyone else's pace.
Yeah. Yeah. And with all we've been talking about a great deal of mutable energy tonight. And I believe I said it the last time we were on, that when mutable energy, especially a great deal of mutable energy is in a chart, we live in a society that tells us, we're supposed to do this and then do this and have a family and have a job, have a career, go to college. A lot of mutable energy is not conducive for that. Mutable energy needs to be able to explore and create at its own pace. So, if you have a lot of Sagittarius or Pisces energy or even Gemini, not so much Virgo, but those 3, if you have a great deal of that in your chart, you can feel like a failure if you cannot go by what society has said is the norm. But if you can find a creative endeavor that you can make into a career, something that you made, and get it into the stream and survive on that, you will never feel like a failure again. We are not all designed to work 9 to 5. We're just not. We're not all designed to be CEOs or what society tells us is normal, and finding out what we're designed to be is so freeing. Alright, that's it.
It sure is. It sure is. And when you look at your chart, Julie says, bless you, thank you. Oh, Julie, hugs and sweet kisses to you. But the other thing too, that this is what I've noticed about when I've studied my own chart and I've looked at other people's charts, when you see where planets are when it relates to work or career, where it relates to family, understanding that can help you understand how you can best use those strengths in your day-to-day life, and also where there might be challenges that you can then say, well, okay, what do I do to overcome that challenge? How do I handle it in a more positive way? You know, when we talk about planets squaring each other, that's when people go, oh, that's bad, that's bad. It's a challenge. And we're here in this life to look at our challenges, to face them, and to work towards overcoming them. I believe there's something you said earlier, Squirrel, about, you know, when we're younger, we kind of, you know, we don't know our chart, we're not sure who we are. I believe we grow into our chart. And if we can grow into our chart as we mature with awareness, then that can actually start happening at a much younger age as well.
Oh, yeah, I feel like everybody should have a chart done before we graduate from high school and we have to make all these life choices, because how many of us have made the life choice, oh, I want to be an airline pilot, or oh, I want to be this, because it sparked an interest when we're still so young. And then we get to 35, 40, and we're like, wow, I didn't sign up for this shit. And we feel like we're too old to start over. It Knowing who we're designed to be and how we're supposed to operate. You know, we're not going to get stuck in these ruts. We're not going to just be living to survive. We're going to be living to enjoy life. And it makes such a huge difference. Such a huge difference. I didn't learn astrology until my mid 40s, I think, or late 40s. And knowing who I was with all the contradictoriness and everything, and becoming who I was meant to be, has made such a difference. I am no longer surviving. I'm living, and I'm happy, finally. Okay, I'm done.
I so agree. I so agree. And that was beautiful the way you said it as well. So, do you want me to do another stress one? Another stress tip for a
Yes,
zodiac sun
yeah.
sign? All right. Pick a sign for me, Squirrel. What sign do you want me to look at?
Sagittarius. It is
Oh
Sagittarius
well,
season.
since it's Sagittarius season. Now, when it comes to stress, Sagittarians, whether it be your sun in Sag whether it be your moon, whether it be your ascendant, whether it's Jupiter and Sag. Quite resilient generally when it comes to stress, because Sagittarians, for the most part, have a really, really optimistic, glass half full kind of outlook, unless there is something else in the chart that really extinguishes that down. So, for the most part, Sagittarians will go, oh, yeah, it's fine, I'll get over it, move on to the next thing. But when those fireworks all start to go off at once, and you're here, you're there, you're everywhere, and you are trying to do it all, and you're trying to fit in with everyone, guilty, then there are some great stress techniques that can be helpful for you. For you to take the stress out of a situation is to slow down. Don't keep going at that fireworks pace, because this is mutable fire and it's about bringing your focus back. So a very simple way that you can bring your focus back is to focus on your breath. And in fact, anyone can do this, no matter what sign you are. You kind of breathe in for a count of 4, you hold your breath for a count of 4, and you breathe out for a count of 4. And what it does is it brings that high energy down. It brings your heart rate down. It brings the adrenaline of stress down. And it kind of gets you back into that resilient state of, right, what can I do to solve this problem? Because for you, finding ways to have a solution is something that is just inherent in you. You like to find solutions to things, and you like to look far and wide for them. But it's about bringing your focus back. And also for Sagittarians, get outdoors. Get outdoors and do something outside. It doesn't have to be anything super physical. It can be as simple as going for a drive with all the windows down, but also too getting that little bit of isolation for yourself, so that again, you're not bringing in all the energies of people around you. So for all my fellow Sagittarians out there, I hope that's of help.
Beautiful. And you said something, and I'm so glad you said it, that made me think. We're talking about a lot of mutable energy tonight, a lot of mutable. And I think it was I can't remember who it was who said that they're seen as flaky. I think it was you that
Yeah,
like Sagittarian or Pisces is seen as flaky. But the beautiful thing about mutable energy, and everybody forgets this, the adaptability factor. The mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, will be the first to bounce back from a setback because they're mutable, they're adaptable. They're like, okay, this happened. Give me a minute to be upset. Okay, now let's find out how to fix this. They're the first ones. Our fixed signs are going to resist the change, and it takes them harder to adapt. And the cardinal signs are just pissed off because they didn't instigate it. They're the mutable signs have the best adaptability. They're the truest survivors. I just wanted to throw that out there for our you mutable friends
absolutely.
who get crapped on by the astrological community a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too is that with those mutable energies, it's like so adaptable. Love change. Love change. You know, Taurus, I shall not be moved.
Oh,
Whereas Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, it's like, okay, let's try something new. You know, there's that sort of spontaneous energy that is attached to it. But then again, on the other side with Taurus, we need that mountain. We need that let's be stable, let's be reliable. When we make a commitment, let's stick to it. So again, it comes back to what you said before, Squirrel. There's no right or wrong about any of the signs. It's how they mix together in your chart that makes you you.
and Amanda said Virgo sun, so true there. And another thing, I love talking to you because my brain just sparks, 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 sparks. What you just said. Every, those factors in your chart, they balance us out. Those are what make us contradictory. Like if you don't mind me using you as an example, energy. Energy
Sure.
is a Sagittarius sun. And then she's got that Capricorn rising, that really serious-minded, business-like ability. That is very contradictory in one chart, but she works it. She knows how to do it. But she had to learn. She had to learn. But say we have a Pisces that or let say we have a Pisces with nothing but Sagittarius and Gemini in their chart. Yeah, I don't know if that's possible. I've never seen a chart like that, but that there would be no grounding factors in there. That poor Pisces would be all over the place. What do we do then? Then we bring in somebody with that energy to give that grounding. That's when you make a friend with that energy, probably a Taurus, because the Taurus got the most patience that
Absolutely.
can help you breathe. So if you do have a chart that's all over the place and doesn't have factors that balance out, you want to find somebody to bring into your life to help you give that balance. So that's all.
That is so true. That is so true. And Julie says, wish I was a strong Leo. Ah, look, Leos are so much fun, but every sign is beautiful. Every sign has its
Every
strength
sign.
as well. So, there's this thing, and this is what I've noticed in what you call pop astrology as well. It's like, this is good, this is bad. No, 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 no. It's our perception of it and how we react to things. And that's where our free will comes into our chart, about how we utilize the strengths in our chart, the challenges in our chart, the harmonious things in our chart, the non-harmonious things. That's where our free will comes in as to how we live that chart.
And see, the pop astrology really dogs on most signs. Like God help the poor Scorpios and Geminis. Like they've got such a bad time with the pop astrology. And pop astrology uses it as an excuse to misbehave or to be the negative aspect of a sign, something unhealthy. Whereas traditional astrology helps you find things about yourself that might come through in your chart in an unhealthy way and to make them healthy. Every single sign has good to it. Every single one of them. We just need to find out how to channel it in healthy ways, and that's what getting your chart can do. So it doesn't. And Journey says Cancer Sun, Sag Rising, Aquarius Moon. See, and then he's got a ton of Virgo in his chart. So
Mm.
he's got that fun, that nurturing, but he's also got that attention to detail, that ability. He's got a beautiful chart. I would kill or die for his chart. It is a really good chart. But there's again, it's how he channels it, how he uses that energy. Because that could also, if we didn't know it was him, that could be a hell chart too. And he said, thought it was a good example. It was a great example of
Yeah,
things balancing each other out. So, and I forgot where I
absolutely.
was going with that.
Well, we were talking about, that this is good, this is bad, and we just want to encourage people to step away from that when you're looking at astrology. Whether you're reading a book, looking at a horoscope, it's a balance of both, and that's why we always bring in the light side and the shadow side, because they both exist. There is no light without the shadow. There is no shadow without the light, and that's part of how life is.
And even if you're like perfectly balanced and perfectly healthy, not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, can you act like a healthy person. There are things, stressors that are going to bring you down and make that negative aspect of something. And Journey says, I'm at that gray area, LOL. But don't beat yourself up if you
Mm.
react in a way that you're not happy with. But you can always find ways that you can channel it to react more healthy. Does that make sense?
It
There are
does.
things we can do, and we say, "I don't like that about myself," and not just say, "Oh, it's because I got a Gemini moon." Like, well, how can I use that Gemini moon to my advantage? Its knowledge is power, not excuses.
And it's knowledge that can be applied in just about any situation. As a kid, I had this nickname of clanger because as a Sagittarian, I didn't just put one foot in my mouth, I put them both in at the same time and fell on my rear end. And as I got older and started to understand this Capricorn aspect to myself, I learned that, hey, what's in my head doesn't need to come out my mouth, which is also my moon in Gemini at work. And I have learned that, sometimes just stepping back looking at the situation before I speak has saved me from a lot of arguments and a lot of embarrassment, let me tell you.
Yeah, that Sagittarius sun and then the Gemini moon there. Yeah, I've got the Gemini moon and there's a lot of times my filter is broken and I will say what I'm thinking and the whole room will go silent like, "What?" Or everybody will look away.
It's like, okay, we don't know that person. Let's just sidle over here a little bit.
They're like, "Oops."
All right, do you want me to do one more stress tip for a zodiac? All right,
Absolutely.
pick another zodiac sign for me.
Leo.
Leo, let's do Leo. Now, Leo is really interesting because, just look at our beautiful Miss Squirrel. She's a sun Leo and she's always happy. She's optimistic. She's so generous natured. She's so friendly. But, when Leos get stressed, they kind of keep that mask up. They kind of are extra friendly, extra generous, extra this, extra that, because it is hard for Leo to show their stress. So when Leos get stressed, the best thing that a Leo can do, so it's whether it's Leo sun, Leo moon, Leo ascendant, the best thing you can do is go out and actually have some fun. Go out and have some fun. Go and do things that you love. Create something. People forget to talk about Leos in terms of their creativity. That always goes to, like, the artist of the Libran or the Venus in the Taurus. But Leos are highly creative as well. So do something that you love, that is creative, that is going to take your focus away from the stress and allow you just to get back into that. Here I am, the sun in Leo, the strongest. The sun is the strongest in Leo. It's its home sign. And going out and having fun, being with other people, being with your tribe. You don't necessarily have to rant or unload to anyone, but it's changing your focus, and that will bring you back to yourself. So I hope you found that one helpful too.
That was very helpful. And what's horrible is when I was younger and Journey said, "Love how you ladies break down astrology." Thank you, Journey. We 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 are very excited about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just like,
But I was gonna say when I was younger, if anybody saw me stressed out or upset, they did not see me again. Like I could not stand for anybody to see me not showing my best face. I just couldn't stand it. Now they still see me, but when I get stressed out or upset, I hang out with my friends at my psychic connection. I do, and that is always fun for me. So every week I've got a chance to breathe and have fun. And
yeah.
Julie says, "That's what I've got to learn. I'm kind, gentle, honest, caring, but I'm like a volcanic too, which I can't cope with. I get inner rage, depression, and anxiety. I'm 57 and I'm still lost in life. I get so lonely, think I need to meet different people who are kind and understanding." You definitely, definitely do. And one of the things that you can do, Julie, warn people around you about it. But when you feel that rage, I know that rage. I do, I swear. Scream into a pillow. S- Let yourself scream instead of holding it in so much because when we hold it in, we take it out on the wrong people. And I'm right there with you. That was the, let yourself feel it sometimes, but warn the people around you so you don't scare them half to death. Okay?
That is so true. So true. I used to work in radio, so I used to go into one of the empty studios that was soundproof and scream and cuss and do whatever I needed to do to get that energy out of me. And then I was fine again.
And a reminder, and yes, I wish I had a soundproof studio. The mythology of astrology, the story of Capricorn will be airing January 3rd, midnight 2024. Y'all, it's the last one.
Woohoo!
We'll have them all done. But we will be back with the astrology breakdown and we will be having the story of Capricorn. So if you're a Capricorn or have Capricorn in your chart, be sure to be there.
Oh, looking forward to that. And
And
Squirrel, I have to say, Squirrel is the best storyteller I have ever come across. She brings
she
it to
is
life.
Thank you. I love telling stories. But you guys be sure to come and see Bunny with Down the Rabbit Hole tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you got some questions and you want to ask and you got some psychic questions, that's a show where you can ask your questions and get them read. So 6 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time. Come and see Bunny.
And and don't forget Miss Squirrel at 10 p.m. with Whispers from the Forest as well. That's
I'll
going to
be
be
doing
awesome.
readings. And Julie says, thank you. Mwah! You're welcome, hon. Thank you for spending tonight with us. All of you, thank you. Story of Scorpio, you can go to the YouTube and type in My Psychic Connection and it's Journey Help. How do they find that?
The story of Scorpio is on there. I'll be labeling those for you guys so you guys can see all of them.
And that one, that's one of my favorite stories, Scorpio. So we just did that, what, 2 months ago? And Julie says England. Lots of love to England. Thank you guys so much for spending time tonight and some bringing such epic questions. And Amanda says, love tonight. So thanks so much. You're all very welcome. We did enjoy tonight very much ourselves. So good night.
Oh, Melissa says, thanks so much. Thank you to everyone. I've loved being here. I love talking astrology with squirrels. So, mwah, to everybody, and have happy holidays.